This is the KLOS Apollo Standard. It has KLOS pickups. It has a carbon fiber pick guard, carbon fiber neck. It is volume tone in its setup. And this is obviously white, and it's a fantastic bass. I want to talk about, the first thing I want to talk about is sort of the difference tonally about it. This bass is passive, and there are advantages to playing a passive bass with a carbon fiber neck. It can tend to, with an active circuit, it can tend to be fairly bright, as we talked about with the Apollo Pro. These passive pickups tone down the brightness a bit. You could still hear those harmonics really, really well. You can hear them fantastic, but it also has a warmer tone print profile. The amazing thing about this bass, it's $1,400, which is incredible. Another couple things that are amazing. They moved the pickups back on this one as well and cut me a new pick guard for this. And also, you can swap out to whatever pickups you want. Let's say you're interested in putting a set of Nordstrands or a set of Aguilars in there, or a set of Bartolinis. They will route the pick guard to spec, and they will put those in for you in this passive model. They'll also do it on the Apollo Pro, and I'm sure they will rewire to whatever preamp you want as well, if you want to match the preamp, Bartolini, Nordstrand, or whatever. So there's a lot of flexibility that goes on here in each model. So fantastic flexibility with KLOS guitars. I love companies that don't think that they've reinvented the wheel and everybody needs to jump on their bandwagon. And that matches KLOS guitars to a T. They're really not interested in what a standard is. They're worried about what you want. And so that's one of the cool things about the company. It's one of the cool things about the basses. If they had said to me, day one, we're going to leave the pickup placement where they are, and you can go pound sand, I wouldn't have been interested in ever picking one up again. That's me. There are people who play pickups in the exact specifications they have on their standard models and love them. It just wasn't for me. And rather than saying, hey, you don't like it, go pound sand, you should like our standard, they went ahead and they modified it to fit my playing style, to fit what I like and what my experiences told me works for me. And so that's my philosophy. Musically, it's my philosophy as far as playing comfort. And I'm glad to be doing a review of a company who sees that as something they need to be flexible with and take into consideration is the personalities of the different players that they put instruments in the hands of. So fantastic price point, fantastic flexibility, pickups that obviously sound very, very good. Get the idea. Just fantastic sounding. And this one, you'll notice, has a bit more of an organic tone to it. Once again, it's made with a lightweight body, mimics mahogany really well, and there's a lot of warmth in this bass. From a standpoint of playing older style music, and what do I mean by older style music? I think I'm talking more like Motown era stuff, 1950s, 1960s. This would be the bass of the two that I personally would choose. I think it's naturally voiced with more warmth. I think it fits that style a bit more. So to me, there's a place for having both instruments. And so it's super great that I have that flexibility and have that ability to play them both, because I see value in both of them. The neck feels identical to the Apollo Pro, and that's what's cool. There's no difference in the neck at all. So probably the most tech-driven or researched item on the entire bass is probably the neck. And KLOS has really gone to bat for everybody by putting the same neck regardless of what model you're getting. I happen to like these pickups a great deal. In some ways, they fit the tone print profile of what I would take out on a gig more. Now, if I were doing a solo show, it would be the Apollo Pro I'd reach for every time. If it were a progressive metal band or something that requires more treble, I would reach for the Apollo Pro. I think it's well suited to clarity and punch. And I think this bass has more diversity on like a top 40 gig. Now, both basses are going to be excellent. And I don't mean to say one is better than the other. I don't want you to get that. It's just people develop opinions over the years, and that's my opinion, is that the Apollo Pro is a fantastic instrument in its own right, but it's not voiced as diversely for many different styles of music. But they're both excellent across the board. They work very, very well. This just has a little more warmth in it, and I enjoy the tone characteristic for more styles of music of this instrument than the other. Now, you can trim the treble on the Apollo Pro and get to a very similar voicing that this has. But passive basses, everybody that's played them know they typically are just slightly warmer, and you're then taking a signal and trying to remove it with an active circuit. And you certainly hear that in these instruments. The bass is just really, really capable of playing anything under the sun. If you decided you were going to play some slap, it sounds really great slapped. Definitely has a warmer voicing. I like the slap tone of both of these basses. Depending on what era I was playing, I would reach for this for like a 70s style slap, and something more modern with the Apollo Pro. So they have a lot of uses in them, and you can tell that the bass is still very clear even on the $1,400 model. So it sounds great even chorded, and it sounds really good. It's clear, it can be heard well, and it has fantastic tone and playability. Once again, the same access as the Apollo Pro, the same slight challenge that I said most bolt-on basses are in the same boat. This 24th fret on the E string is hard to reach. As soon as I say that, somebody's going to have some obscure company that's changed the way they bolt an instrument to the neck where this is really comfortable to get to. Good for you. You found something that is in a vast minority. It's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But for most of us, there is sort of a reach issue that's hard to get around with a bolt-on neck to reach that 24th fret. It's also probably not the optimum place to play that E, right? There's going to be other places on the bass where you can play that 24th fret E and get the same note, but work it at a better position, right? And that's extremely comfortable to get to at the 19th fret. So the bass is very functional. It's very comfortable. It's very lightweight. I don't know what these weigh, but I'm guessing it's somewhere between 6.5 and 7 pounds. I don't have the exact spec on that, but the bridge is effective. Once again, it's probably on the medium light side for bridges, but it carries and transfers the tone of the bass really well. The sustain, extremely good. You would expect that from a carbon fiber neck. If it didn't sustain well, what you would have is a mistake in the manufacturing. You don't have that here. Manufactured well, sustains well. It does what it's supposed to do as a carbon fiber neck. So even when you're playing the old Motown stuff, which I was playing a version of one a minute ago, this bass is going to really cover that well with the passive pickups that they have in here. I'm impressed with these pickups. They do something that carbon fiber companies have a hard time figuring out, and that's bringing in some warmth into the equation, even additional warmth. So this bass really does sound well. And once again, for the price point, who else can get a carbon fiber necked bass for $1,400? It just doesn't exist to my knowledge. Once again, if you found it, great for you. But I think this has got to be one of the lower prices, or if not the lowest, in the carbon fiber world. And it's a fantastic bass. Some finishing thoughts on the company in both these models. A lot of times you don't have any connection to the build process. And as somebody doing the review, I want to tell you, I've been out to their shop on a couple of occasions. I've seen the meticulous nature of the way they want to get things right. I've seen almost everybody there plays guitar or bass or some kind of instrument, and they have a vested interest in making instruments that are good in the hands of players. So I've really come to respect the fact that they're willing to open up their shop to me, to let me see the process. I mean, you've got electrical engineers that are doing the wiring. You've got somebody who has gone through meticulous redesigns to get this bass to feel right. And I'm going to stress again, the first one I played felt like garbage. I didn't think they would ever get to a point where they had a good functioning instrument. I was shocked when they called me back. I was shocked when they invited me down to their facility, because I was so honest with them in Anaheim that I figured they would never want to talk to me again. And I told them after I was there about 10 minutes that I was surprised I didn't want to get up and leave, because I sort of expected their bass, no offense to them, to be a dud. After playing the prototype, it's anything but a dud. There are so many usable aspects to both these instruments. They aren't going to be for everyone, and they don't claim they're for everyone. But they're great at their price point. They play like a custom instrument. They sit well in the above 2,000 market, and they don't cost that much. So there is a lot about these instruments I really like. I mean, it's almost unfair that they're building a carbon fiber necked bass for $1,400. I don't know how anybody's going to compete with that. So fantastic pricing. And then to get an upgraded model at $2,000, there's just not a lot of basses on the market that you're able to achieve that. And in the carbon fiber world, I personally don't know of one out there that could be had at that price point. I'm not saying they don't exist. I just don't know about them. So fantastic people working in the shop, open to showing their processes, cutting out different pick guards with their CNC to get pickup positions right, to the detail on the design. I mean, great looking black hardware on the standard model, and on the Pro model it looks fantastic too. They're willing to swap pretty much anything out. I think you could even swap bridges if you like the Pro bridge more. They'll switch the bridge out. I mean, they're very flexible and accommodating, which I think is forward thinking for sure. So KLOS Guitars, check these basses out. They've impressed me. You know, order one. If you're a maniac about a certain type of pickup, get that certain type of pickup. If you let them know what you want, they'll respond to it, which I think is a cool part of the company.